I'm actually just about to go to the gym right now, but I was meditating and a thought came to my head out of nowhere, and it reminded me of a question that I've had for the past few months, and it's the question of, do I need to suffer to create good art? And this is a tired topic. This is a well discussed topic out there on the internet, and it's always been um, a historical thing of just the tortured poet or the artist who just is suffering, and despite that, the art that they make is just amazing, and it's transformative and it's transcendental. And whether that art comes from a place of suffering or, discomfort and pain. And I myself have experienced that. I've been through difficult times in my life, very difficult times in my life. And through that, I've found the light of just creating art and writing. For me, it was poetry. And all those poems I've written on the wall, you can't really see them. But most of those were written out of pain or, ill emotions that I wish I couldn't have had at that moment. But to face that, I would write. And comparing that to myself now, who doesn't write it, I don't write as much, but I still write here and there. And I always notice how, since I moved here and since I left the school environment from which stress was applied onto me, I was getting stress and relationships with friends and things like that, difficult things, hardships, and the usual struggles with school and how pressuring it is. When I got out of that, I suddenly transferred to a more comforting place, and life kind of got easier because I'm less busy now. I don't have to worry about a school curriculum. I don't have homework to do. But now that I'm living in a more comfortable position and I'm happier now, my writing has almost become dull. And it feels like my writing is not as striking or provocative or as powerful as it used to be when I was struggling or when I was in pain. And when I was in that state of almost mental torment and just mental turmoil with all these thoughts in my mind, I had a lot of problems. I talked about it briefly: self-harm, smoking, trigger warning, all those things. In the midst of that, I was creating poetry that I, to this day, pretty much am a little proud of, and some of my best work were written in that time. But if I were to try to write that way now, I wouldn't be able to replicate it. And hypothetically, just imagining it, if I were to go back to those bad habits and if I were to subject myself to the same pain, I wouldn't write the same. And I think that's a matter of circumstance, because in that very moment, that's what I was feeling, and I was feeling this amount of pain. So I wrote this. But now that I'm not feeling that much pain anymore, now that I'm more comfortable and things are peaceful, my writing reflects that. Most of my writing these days are like nature writing and writing about the surroundings, not writing about my inner demons or anything. Less images of blood, less images of chains and darkness and gloominess. Less of that. More trees and snow and sunlight and clouds. And to me, that seems dull, especially compared to the harsh things that I used to write. It it was a bit shocking. There was some shock factor to it because of how deep it was, and I feel as if my writing isn't as deep anymore. And one thing I can cite is that I'm not suffering like I used to. Not as if that was suffering. That was just in the moment it felt like suffering, but in hindsight, that was just being a teenager and going through that stage of your life, which I'm still going through. But I look back and I think I want to write like that again. I want to get back to my writing what it was like when I was in pain. But I don't want to subject myself to pain just to write that way, because that seems a bit counterintuitive. It almost feels inauthentic to do that. So just comparing those two, what I'm writing now, even though it's not as good to me, who knows if it's better or not? All that matters is that right now what I'm writing is authentic to me. And if I were to write from that place of pain, maybe it wouldn't be authentic because I'm not there anymore. I'd be writing from a past self. And I think there's a time and place to be doing that, to write about your past and kind of write about it from the present moment, from a different perspective, from now looking back. But that just it's not as good. And I've been feeling this way since I've been writing more recently. I can't write the same. And so I don't really aim to answer that question if you need to suffer for your art, because that's the big thing. You'll find a million other YouTube videos talking about that better than I can. But it really, I think it's a real thing. The idea of the tortured poet who's going through multiple things, who maybe has suicidal thoughts, but just before something happens, they write the best poems ever that they could ever have written. And I'm saying that from this experience. I look at the poems that I write now compared to the ones I used to write. And the ones that I used to write are more intense, they're more awe-striking, they're more, you know, a bit more vulgar. And the ones now are just calm and peaceful. And at this point in time, I think the older ones are better. Who knows, maybe in the future I'll think my poems now are the best. I don't know. And maybe all of this is just a time thing about if you're looking back at something, it's better. Whereas if you're looking at it from the present moment, it's not as good. And it's never going to be as good. I don't know. Not to say that all our poems are written at that time, everything I wrote was magic. Nah, not at all. But there are certain themes and elements in what I used to write that I don't have anymore. And I think more than just being a testament to suffering or not suffering in art, it's definitely a thing of change and changing as an artist. If I'm constantly writing the same genre all the time throughout years, no matter what's happening to me personally, that's boring. It's kind of inauthentic. But the way that my writing's changing, along with my own personality and my own life situation, tells me that I'm moving with the change, whether or not it involves more or less suffering. So I think in hindsight, this is a good thing to be changing. Change is always good, and it's always going to happen if you let it. But I don't know. I, I, it's just the problem that I have. I try to write like that again. I want to be able to come back to that voice, that inner voice of just struggle and pain, and put out writing like that. But I can't do that anymore. And I think this is a testament. It just shows how I need to write more. I think maybe this stems from the problem of me writing less. Because when I was in that place, in that moment of time, I was writing almost every day. But now I write only just a few days a week. And I think that plays a part in it. How viciously and how furious you are about writing, how passionate you are. I think more than just the suffering factor. I've lost a lot of passion in writing. I don't write like I used to. So maybe that's the underlying issue, more than just suffering or not suffering. I don't think anyone should just seek suffering or seek pain to write something better. I don't know if that will do you well in the long run. But if you write your magnum opus from a place of hurt, then, well, depending on the person, they might want that. So, I don't know. I know for sure I haven't reached the point where I've felt the most pain in my life. Neither have I written a magnum opus. And I don't know if those two events will happen at the same time, but if they do, you might see it, and maybe I'll put that work out. But I don't see that coming anytime soon. And that's a good thing for my own health, for my own mental health, that I won't be going through anything super painful. Life has its little difficulties, but nothing too traumatic right now. And at the same time, I just need to pace my writing and slowly get back into it and writing more and more. And maybe I can get that intensity again once I feel enough passion for it. And so, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. And I will see you in another video.